Hey, thanks for listening to WIUX and tuning in. Today, we're going to have an interview with Nissim Black, and he should be joining us any second now. Thanks for tuning in again, and hope you learned something.
See this on the calendar until a little late, so apologize.
Hey, no worries, man. I'm all done with class now, and I'm just pumped to have you on air.
No problem, no problem. Should probably turn this more friendly. You see me over there?
Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? What do you want Bloomington, Indiana to know about you and everyone in the Midwest?
Well, my name is Nissim Black. I'm originally from Seattle, Washington. I'm born and raised there. Even though it may be hard for some people to understand, I believe there's very much so a street side. So I was exposed to a lot of violence and different things like that as a kid, and grew up and became a product of that environment. And was always a deep thinker. And at the same time, I had a love for music, since as far back as I can remember. I mean, maybe since I was born. My mother and my father, they both were part of hip hop groups that pioneered hip hop in Seattle. So I've been in love with it as long as I've possibly, as long as I've known. So with that, I just sort of never really let that die out, and it ended up becoming a career for me as I became a teenager. Still holding on to a lot of the street, life, and then had some radical spiritual experiences and went soul searching, and that sort of led me to Orthodox Judaism, and which appears to be rare, but I think it's less rare than what people actually know. But I ended up from then I left music for a little bit. I just sort of took a bow out of the game. Obviously, I meant several years without listening to any secular music at all, and so it was like sort of like I had to reintroduce myself to the culture a little bit more with a more grown-up attitude and outlook on it, and so, and since then, I've been making records and, happy to be back making music.
Do you make your own beats? I was listening to 8 Days earlier this week, and that was an insane beat. That was really, really fun to hear.
Nah, I wish. Nah, I think that one I actually got from the Booming Brothers. And nah, it's a dope beat. I used to, at one point, I was making most of my records. My brother-in-law, who's been my best friend since kindergarten, he's actually been on this whole entire journey with me, the spiritual journey, and musically as well. We actually live one apartment over from each other, really, one apartment building over. And so he makes like 99% of my records, but that one he didn't make. But
So is he
usually I'm
who
on
is he
something
who
that's
Best Friends about?
huh?
Is he who Best Friends about on the new mixtape?
No, so the best friends is I was actually talking about music itself,
Okay.
and talk about the up and down with music and how music is really there for us, and music is healing, you know what I mean? And it really serves to be a best friend because it always has the right tune for us, you know what I mean? When you're up and you're excited, you could which record to play. When you're down and need to pick me up, or you need something to help you in that place of whatever you're feeling, whether it's you're feeling bad or you're feeling down, the right song that's going to help you to be able to pull those emotions.
I think I'm losing you for.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry. Let me turn this do not disturb on.
Oh, you're all good, man.
Okay. So no, I really look at it as music is really being a best friend. That just has that right song for you all the time.
So did that have anything to do with you choosing to go with a surprise drop with this last mixtape? Just like it was the right time, right feeling?
Nah, it was really sort of like, truthfully, it was a few things. I'm just one of those things where I don't like hoarding songs, like music. Like if I make records that I feel really good, I'm riding around enjoying this stuff. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
no reason why everybody else shouldn't also. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's one of the things. And then I think the other thing is sort of like, when I did return back to music, there was like a period of time where I just really was focused on religious music for the religious Jewish crowd, more so. which is great. And I have, you know, still make records here and there for people. But after like really discussing things really like with my rabbi and just sort of like things that it started to just push me in that way was sort of like, you know, I have a responsibility even as a black man to be to try to use whatever gifts I have to be a positive role model and influence and to spread my net, you know, because there's struggles and things that I know about that I could talk about that I can't speak to this audience about, but I can speak to the world about, you know what I mean? You know, people that come from a very similar background as myself. So I sort of wanted to position myself in a place where, you know, there was some familiarity with the music. And so when dropping Love Notes, I was sort of like, listen, you know, we're on this journey right now. We dropped Motherland Bounce, we dropped Win, Best Friend just came out. It's like we have tons more music. We need to put something out before the next single comes out. We need to just drop something for the people. It's not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not about the single. It's about the people.
Since
It's about the
that since
community.
that came out, I got another 13 songs I recorded. You know, so the thing for me was like, you know, I wanted to be able to have some music out that sonically represented where I am as an artist. And you know, we've been sitting on like all together, like man, almost 50 songs. You know what I mean? So that's just 12 of them that I was just like, okay, I've been writing, and each one has been felt like its own project because it comes in stages. Like I'll finish 12, 13, 16, or whatever, and then move on to another batch, like a new, you know, Yosef would make something, and it's like, man, that's a change in the game. And so musically, he went to another place. So that creates different songs. So, you know, that was 11 songs or whatever that I felt like, you know, this needs to go out now, you know, so.
So is that Love Notes title? You're talking a little bit about being more like true to all parts of yourself, all past parts to yourself. Is that Love Notes like love? Is that one of the most important things to you as well, or like that love more exists within the music as well?
Well, I was, yeah, more so like talking to people and talking to God at the same time. Like these are my love notes. I'm coming from a place of where like, you know, even when I say certain things, I wanted to write things in a way, even best friends, like I've been trying to keep things, I try to keep certain songs as vague as possible so that people can allow their imagination and emotion to take them where it suits them, as opposed to, you know, what I'm feeling. Most of the time, if I'm writing a love song, I'm writing to God. You know what I mean? That's
Okay.
just way I feel, and I'm able to relate because I have a very strong connection and spiritual relationship. I'm able to relate to him that way or as a best friend or something like that. So I can write that in a way that's vague for a person who may not be able to connect to that idea, but they really do got a best friend or they really do love, you know, the shorty or whoever it is and want to be able to convey that type of thing. So the whole thing at the end of the day is sort of like, you know, filling whatever void or emotion of what people have that they tend to feel that with music and with the right song, you know.
Mm.
So that was sort of how the title came about, you know, just sort of it's a love note to the people and to the creator.
Okay. I love that. That's really cool. So on a separate note, you said you were from Seattle earlier, and I was
Hmm.
curious how much the protests in the States this past summer had any influence on your songwriting over in Israel.
You know what? I've just recently more so started writing about this stuff a little bit, you know, here and there. Just it's definitely had an effect on the conversations and interviews and different things like that I had. But I didn't really know how much I wanted to put that in the music. You know, like to be honest, I'm already done with 2020, man. I'm ready to move on from this, man. I don't know what's going on after this, but you know, it can't be. You know, I hope it's not as bad as this year's been. But I think you know, to some degree, it has influenced certain things that I have, and you know, many of us take different approach. You know what I mean? My approach is that I definitely agree that there's been, you know, a large degree of police brutality and I would say an abuse of power and different things like that. But I choose to make my focus, you know, how to help within the community, you know, because at the same time, I appreciate all those who feel the need and the necessity to protest because that's what they feel is going to change things. But my feeling is just like sort of starting at home. You know what I mean? I don't. I'm not depending on anybody else to give help to the community and to the community I came from if I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? So I sort of like trying to use the music as a tool to be able to, in my opinion is like this. I'll be straight up, I'll be 100 with you. Like to protest and to scream for equality, especially from the hip hop community who I love. I don't want to say everybody because that'd be wrong to say everybody, right?
Yeah.
But we'll just say, a rapper, you know what I mean? If I'm talking about killing my own kind, selling drugs to my own kind, and doing all this other stuff, and I'm gonna do and this and that, and disrespecting the women of my kind, I can't turn around and ask for equality and for you to somebody else gonna have to explain that to me. You understand what I'm saying? So my thing is, let me talk about love and uplifting and helping my kind. You know what I'm saying? Let's
Yeah.
change what entertainment that we see. Let's laugh together. Let's cry together, and try to build up our community from that. From being able to see something different than what we've been showing ourselves, and then we'll be able to help ourselves out. You know what I mean? So that's sort of like the approach I've been taking
Yeah,
with it.
that resonates a lot in your mixtape too. I was thinking because when respect, those two they go hard, but it's not like
Thank
aggressive hard. It's like you're all coming together. You're doing you, and you're actually
you. Right,
succeeding. I don't know. That
right.
that was really cool to hear that sort of connection in what you were saying, man.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
On a lighter note, so how did that armor feel in the Win music video?
That's crazy. Listen, even the connection you just made when you brought up that record, when not on purpose, came out either the same week, not on purpose, that George Floyd situation happened.
No
So
kidding.
this was like, I had definitely heard that campaign, but at the same time, I was just sort of like, wow, I can't believe this record came out right now where you got like, three black hobbits, you know what I'm saying? Going through like, and when it, on a physical level, that the armor was like super heavy, man. That stuff was like crazy. You know what I mean? I don't know how, and that's for
That's a light
TV.
armor too.
Can you imagine what it was like back in the olden days? Like, saying these guys that working out in the gym and all that, that's a joke compared to whatever workouts these guys were doing back then.
No, they're
So
bodying like 200 pounds in plates.
yeah, it's crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. But no, I really enjoyed it, man. I enjoy role playing, costumes, the acting side of it just as much as, the music, just entertainment in general.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be able to have to be able to be building a platform where I can use all of my gifts. So I'm really, really, really excited.
Would you say COVID-19's given you, and like the quarantine has given you a chance to get back into your creative roots again, just like all the time in the studio?
Yeah, it's crazy because like, if not, you'd be touring and doing shows and being so busy, like on the road and stuff like that. So, which is definitely great for the bank account. However, in terms of like being able to work and be in the creative process, like I said, I was just sick with COVID-19. The day Best Friend video actually came out, I was in the hospital hoping I make it. You know what I mean? I was in the hospital like 6 days. It was like crazy scary. Um, but like I said, since I left the hospital, I'm already 13 songs deep. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I would have never done that. You know what I'm saying? Back in it, in a
Yeah.
different time where I would have had to been. I travel a lot. You know what I mean? So being able to be here and to be just like, I'm very involved in my videos, from the idea, the plots, what costumes, on set, directing it, and like so.
This is your
Um,
creative.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like my thing. So if it wasn't Corona, I wouldn't have been able to do that. You know what I mean? So let alone all the time I get to spend with my wife and with my kids and all of that. You know what I mean? It has been a blessing in disguise. Sometimes it's a hard one, but it's definitely been a blessing in disguise.
Has your big family contributed a lot to like your desire to write more about love and be more uplifting, like be more of an example, or is it more on the side like it's just who you are in your core?
Bro, so much that's been the reason. I tell you, because I switched my whole entire approach to music, like maybe I want to say 6 or 7 months before my first child was born. When we found out, maybe 6 months, when we found out that I was having a little girl. Me and my wife been together since we were 17. We're high school sweethearts, you know what I mean? So from that moment that I had that realization that, like, you know, what am I gonna play for my daughter? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna play you be this, you be that, you know what I'm saying? Am I gonna really make that type of music and be comfortable like with my kid hearing that? Like, you know, especially I'm about to raise a young Black woman, like, and I was, you know, I'm, like I said, since a kid, I've been a deep thinker. So these type of things pass my mind. So I was like, no, and I was working on an album. I'm telling you, I was like 8 songs in or something like that on a new record. And I went back, I scrapped everything and started over. You know what I mean? So everything, and I took a different approach without the curse words, without, you know what I'm saying? And I was more in a positive mindset. I was also growing at the beginning of my growing spiritually. So all that happened because when you, it's one thing when it's just you and your girl, or you and your wife, and you're just starting out. But once you start bringing in, then that's family. So you're starting to think about, like, how are we going to identify ourselves as a family, and that family structure. And I know how important that was. You know what I mean? From some time I was a kid, I knew how important that was. So yeah, definitely had an influence. And, you know, now I got 6 of them. You know what I mean? So it's
Just
like,
good chops.
it's only gone up more. You know, raising young men that, you know, you got to be an example for. So they definitely influence my music a lot.
So what advice would you give to them or other people if they're, because you've had a really long and honestly really interesting spiritual journey. Like started out
Right.
Muslim, then converted into Christianity, now into Hasidic Judaism.
Right.
So what advice would you give to them or whoever who feels like they're lost in their spirituality or confused or just any sort of like what's important to them in their day to day? They're sort of muddled.
You know, I think the biggest thing is, you know, all the different religions and stuff like that, going through all those different things and now being a Hasidic Jew, right? Like, I've seen so many different things. And not only that, like, there's certain things, like, you know, on the outside, a lot of people wouldn't understand, but even within the Jewish community, um, I am a minority of a minority of a minority of a minority. Not just because of my color. I mean, the specific Hasidic group that I belong to, the minhagim, the certain customs that I keep, the groups that I have found just about every single way to be the minority of a minority of a minority, and I connect with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because I had those experiences in the other religions, I also, you know, I got a love for Muslims that most other people not gonna have. I have a love for Christians that other people not gonna have. So I can have a different conversation when I'm in a taxi cab with somebody, you know what I mean, that other people can. So with all of that said, I would say that the biggest thing, one thing that I've seen that is bar none the most important thing is to keep the vertical relationship right. Because, you know, what distracts people, even when we're going back talking about black, white, or whatever, is the horizontal relationships, right? Oh, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Dealing with people, you understand? But once the vertical relationship is right and the person's state of mind is more so focused on their own spiritual health, and which leads to emotional health, which leads to material health, all of those things are the most important things to be able to have better horizontal relationships. So I think that that's the most important thing, you know, more than anything else. And it'll keep you out of fights and disputes and things that's just going to give you ulcers and everything else, and you know what I mean, later on.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest advice, man, to stay focused on the vertical.
Just stay true to what's genuine to you, sort of thing. Then.
Exactly. Exactly.
You had someone pop in the door behind you, so I'll make this short. It was like during that last little answer. But I do have to know when live shows start back up again, with how big Motherland Bounce has gotten, would you ever want to be introduced on stage as Hitler's worst nightmare?
I love it, man. I'm working on Hitler's worst nightmare T-shirts, man.
I
We're
literally have a
doing it.
question in here. I was going to ask if you were going to get it trademarked.
Yeah, man, we gotta get a trademark. You're right.
I mean, you've got all the bases down. You got the song. You're going to have T-shirts. It's got the hype.
You're right.
Uh,
You're right. You're right.
hey,
You're
I
very
really
right.
appreciate you sitting down with us today, man. Seriously.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it myself.
Definitely.
All
Hopefully
right.
we can be in contact soon, and like let me know when you're dropping everything else. We'll see what we can do at the station.
Okay, amazing. I will do. We'll do this Friday actually releasing. I don't know when this is gonna air, but on the new song Rerun. So make sure you look out for that one.
Reruns coming out August 28th. Got it.
Yes, yes, sir.
Awesome. Anything
Okay.
else you want everyone to know before we cut everything off?
No, have a good day.
Have a good day, man. Okay.
All
Appreciate
right.
you.
Have a good one. Take care.